Hello friends, my name is Lisa if we haven't met, and if we have, welcome back to my pottery studio. I am so glad you are here today. This is my first video for 2025 and I get to do a real, true, proper studio tour. Now, if you have been following along, you know that I just recently got the opportunity to kind of rebuild my entire studio space and setup. If you follow way back, I guess about a year ago, I showed the setup of my original space. It's in the same location, but I've been just in an unfinished space in our basement and got the opportunity late in 2024 to have a contractor come and actually put up some walls and make it a more defined space. And also just having walls to hang stuff on is remarkable, but it's a bit more finished now. It's a bit more polished and I am so excited to show you guys. And so in this video, my goal is to walk around the whole space, show you in every drawer and cabinet and behind every curtain what I'm working with and why. I'll give you a little bit of explanation on why I decided to kind of organize it the way I did. And if you have the opportunity to set up your own studio someday, maybe this will give you some tips and tricks and things that you can incorporate into your space as well. So I hope this sounds interesting to you and let's get started. All right, so to give you guys some context of what I'm working with, we are walking into an unfinished area of our basement. My husband and I moved into this house almost 3 years ago and we love it, but there's a very large section of it that the builder would not finish, which is actually totally fine. We make great use of it anyway. This side is kind of exercise equipment where he does most of his workouts and stuff like that. We've got an area of storage over here, a ton of cabinets, and all of this really stayed the same. It is still unfinished. We did not bother having the rest of this finished out just because we didn't really feel like it was necessary. But we have a lot of cabinets where we store, you know, backstock pantry stuff and an extra freezer over here. We do have a freeze dryer, which you've probably seen in the background of some of my videos. And this is stuff that I am very excited to be hiding now, so that you won't see it in my videos going forward. So that is why there is a curtain separating it. Before this was finished out, I did have some cabinets and a counter here just to create a little section of space. But we did have the contractor put in a pony wall just to make it a little bit more defined. We didn't want to put in a full wall necessarily because it would really like close it in and maybe make it feel tight. So when I'm not recording, we can keep the curtain open and it feels a little bit more spacious. But then when I'm recording, I can go ahead and hide all that other stuff from you. So, okay. And then as we come further back into the unfinished space, this is everything that did get redone. I did expand a little bit into the other area, gave myself about 18 more inches in this direction. But the contractor came in and did all of the framing and drywall for me. I did all the painting and a lot of the kind of finished work. So I put in all the base trim. I put in all the rest of the cabinets. It's been a lot of work actually getting it all done, but let's just go like all the way around. So as you walk in, this is the sink that I built. I actually think there's an early video from like a year ago on building this sink. The top drawer here, I'm just using for like, I don't know, tools and miscellaneous stuff that I might need, not necessarily ceramics related. And then under here, I've got a bunch of shelves and I've got extra towels and rags and cleaning stuff, extra containers for glazes and stuff like that. This is just a good spot to store it. When I built this sink cabinet, I was very conscious of the clay situation, the clay trap situation, and I wanted to make it accessible. So I did put in a bar here just to hang towels on, but that comes off easily. And then the curtain comes back and you can see my plumbing setup. I'm currently using a Glaco clay trap and it is working pretty well, but that is also because I don't do a tremendous amount of production, throwing and clay stuff that's going to be going down the drain. So I may upgrade this eventually. But for now, it works really well for me. If you haven't looked into these, if you do have a smaller studio, they can be a good option. I'll also show you there is a bunch of different buckets and containers and things like this, and all of them eventually seem to come in handy, particularly when I'm glazing, but also for cleaning and stuff like that. So I just hide that behind the curtain. I'll also say when it comes to the clay trap that I try really, really hard not to let any clay go down the drain. So I don't have a big bucket system or anything like that yet because I try to really minimize the amount of clay that goes down my sink anyway. So it is really just kind of like a backup. So, but that's what I use. I put up this, I'm going to call it my jungle wall that I'm very excited about. It is just some fake boxwood hedge that I found at Sam's Club. But I'm excited about all the different like decorative things I can do with that. So that's going to be fun in future videos, I think. What I wanted to mention is the floor. The floor did not change. Before we moved in at all, we had a guy come and do an epoxy finish on the floor. We had him do it in white because one of the objectives was really to keep this area, this whole space really bright and open. Again, because it's in a basement and there's no windows. There's not a lot of natural light. So from the lights that I do have, I want to keep everything really reflective, really bright. And so we did do white. In hindsight, maybe not the best color because it is hard to keep it looking clean. It does get scuffed up, and you can probably tell on the floor there's still just some splotches of stuff from the texture and paint and things like that that I'm going to try to scrub up, but I haven't yet. All right. Coming around, I've got just trash can. I've got another bin that I put laundry in. So I use a lot of rags and stuff like that. And aprons, after they get dirty, I toss them in here. This is the slab roller and the cart that I built for it about a year ago. I think I have a video on that too that you can go back to way in the archives. I have a bunch of big drawers in storage for this. There's kind of miscellaneous stuff in here right now. I've got old mixers, glazing things. I'm storing all of my clay extruder tiles and stuff like that here because it's right next to where I have my extruder. But a couple of these are actually pretty empty. I've got extra sponges, some old stamps that I used to use that I haven't used in a while. I tried to declutter. I tried to get rid of stuff, but I just couldn't do it. I think I got rid of a few things, but most stuff kind of, it has stayed. I feel like I will have a use for it someday. I just can't let go, especially not with like clay tools and crafting stuff and all that. As we come around to the corner over here, this is my whole throwing area, throwing setup. I built a French cleat wall. On the last video, I showed you how I did that. So now you can just kind of see maybe my full vision for it. I've got a lot of my tools and throwing things, trimming things up on the wall that'll be very accessible to me when I'm sitting at the wheel. I can just pop up and grab something as I need it. The cleat system is great because you can actually just take anything off if you want to, for whatever reason, or if you want to reorganize stuff, move things around, make it more convenient. You can do that. These are just those IKEA pegboards. I spray painted them because I thought it'd be more fun, but that's all they are. And then each one, I just, instead of mounting it to anything, I mounted it to a cleat that then sits on the wall. So if you're curious about that, go back and watch the last video and it explains that a little bit better. But I have a couple of the IKEA pegboards. I use this one here for storing my Giffen grip. This seems to be the best way that I know to store a Giffen grip. It just sits on two of these like hook things. And honestly, it doesn't pop off. It seems to be very secure there. So that works fantastic. I love these IKEA, I don't know what they're called, but I will try to find them and link them below. But for storing the little arms for the Giffen grip. So this is all really good. I've got a magnetic board here too for storing anything that I can magnetize to it. So nail clippers come in really handy. Got my pliers for when the bat pins get finicky. And then, I don't know, just a lot of other things. So this is maybe the part of the studio that I am the most proud of because I don't know, I just love it. I love it's colorful. It's going to be fun. I don't know, sometimes it's the little things in life, but all the plastic, you know, we use plastic a lot to cover things when after you throw them and you want to like keep them from drying out too fast and stuff like that. I have always just used like old plastic from like dry cleaning and things that I found in, when you get plastic from like stuff you've purchased, I've always used like recycled plastic. And it never occurred to me that you can actually just buy rolls of thin plastic in the paint section of Home Depot or Lowe's and then cut it up into different sizes. And so that's what I did. I treated myself to all brand new plastic for the year. And this is another IKEA. This is a Variera. Here, That's what it is. You can find it online. I'll link it below. But I got this from IKEA. I did spray paint it again to make it pretty, put it on a cleat. And now I've got all of my plastic right there. And one of the things I'm most excited about for sure. Oh, I've got different aprons sitting up here on hooks. I don't know. My apron collection might grow because I found one online that I want to purchase too, but we'll see. Let's see. I haven't actually tested this yet, and you all might think I'm a little extra for it, but I am a Stanley girl. And I mean, come on. Come on, look at that. So this is another, I'm so excited about that. Also in this area, I built 2 carts. I'm going to call them bat carts or Batmobiles. These are both on wheels, and they both have a flat top. So this could be very convenient for while I'm throwing. I can put pieces that I've made up here, but also they store all of my plaster bats. And so I just separated them with this little 1x1 board from Home Depot. And in the back, there's little notches that they all sit into so they don't all lean up against each other. Not that that would be bad, just that it's more convenient to pull them out. And so all of the larger bats that I have are on this cart. And then some of the smaller bats, both the inserts for my bat system, the smaller, green tile bats, and then my smaller plaster bats are on that cart. And that's, I think, going to be really great to keep them all organized and efficient. And I like that they're on wheels so that when I do want to clean the floor and stuff, I can wheel them out of the way, and then they'll be really accessible to me when I need them. If you're interested, I do use a Laguna Pacifica. I think it's Pacifica by Laguna. It's a GT400 potter's wheel. This is about 20 years old, and I did paint it. So that's what that is. I use a drummer's stool to sit on. I feel like they are the most comfortable, and they're really adjustable and sturdy. So that has worked well for me for many years as well. I also, with a lot of the scrap 2x4 from the construction, I built these shelves. I've always kind of wanted this baker style shelving system where you can really kind of adjust your boards and your shelves for storing pieces that are in progress. You've probably seen them before. You can purchase the baker carts that have sheet trays that go into them, but I decided to try to make my own. This gives me a lot of flexibility on the shelving. So I'm just using some 1/2-inch plywood, and they just rest on these little edges here. And so I can adjust the shelving that I need based on what I'm making, or, maximizing the space on the shelf, which is pretty good. I did put them on wheels so that I can move them around as I need to. If I want to clean under there, I can. For now, they're living here, so I've got one pack full of bisqueware that I really want to get glazed here soon, and then one I'm trying to keep open for things that I throw here shortly. Okay, as we come around on this side, I've got both of my kilns over here. Our contractor did an awesome job because right behind here is where the main water shutoff is for the whole house, and also for the sprinkler system outside. So we needed to keep access to it, and he built this really nice little access panel for me, which I love. And then I've got my little kiln and my big kiln. One thing I have not yet done, but it is fully on the agenda, is to tile behind this whole space where both kilns are. So I was going to put hardy backer like I had before. However, I wanted to kind of jazz it up a little bit. So I'm going to go with a really pretty green tile that I have purchased. I just ran out of steam to actually get that project done. And then my kiln vent is largely the same. If you remember, if you've been following along, my kiln used to be in that corner. We moved it over here, so it'd be a little bit closer to the vent, so the vent could work a little bit more efficiently. And I think that's going to be a great plan. But I've got the kiln vent here. It's not yet hooked up to the big kiln, but it will be before I fire it. Next to the kiln, I've got all my shelving for all of my kiln shelves. My kiln furniture and posts and stuff like that are all organized on this guy. This I had before, I just moved it. So as we come more around the island, the big island, which I will get to shortly, I've got all of my storage for all of my bulk materials for glaze making and glaze testing. So these are bins that I got from IKEA, and they work really, really well for storing kind of large quantities of the materials that I tend to get for glaze testing. And this is all, I built this in a couple previous videos, but it got moved. It was in that corner. I've now moved it over here. and it's so far working fabulously. I absolutely love it. I was gonna put doors on it, but I don't know, I think I like keeping it open. In the very corner here, I've got a small IKEA cabinet with just, I don't know, random craft supplies and stuff like that. Not necessarily ceramics related, but different things for drawing, Cricut paper. You know, I've got a few sewing things and stuff like that tucked back in here as well. These two cabinets used to be next to my sink previously. I did build them a while back, but I moved them over here to have a little bit more kind of work surface and space. This top drawer is just dedicated to kind of electronic equipment, filming equipment, charger for my drill, that kind of thing is all tucked back in here. Underneath that, I do have a sewing machine that I don't use a ton, but it comes in clutch every now and again, and some extra sewing materials and things like that. So that's tucked back in here. This is kind of another nice desk setup, but for now I needed a place to store some extra materials that didn't fit over in this cabinet, so that's kind of hanging out there. This top drawer has not much in it, honestly. I've got a couple empty drawers, which is quite nice, but I've got a dustpan and broom, and these clips, which I store in there. These are awesome for your bags of clay, to keep them closed and to keep them airtight. And then under here is really mostly reference stuff. So I've got a bunch of books tucked back in there. I have a bunch of these file folders. This is where I store all of my glaze sheets. So from whenever I batch a glaze, I print out the recipe. I'm very meticulous about making sure that I check off each material as I mix it up, what water quantity I use, and I can always go back and reference these. I do store them digitally, but it's nice to just know exactly what I did the last time I mixed a glaze if I'm trying to recreate a particular result. So let's see, that's in there. And then this is kind of being a catch-all now. So I've got my tripods and things like that up here. I've got my scale set up for measuring out clay. One exciting thing that I want to show you is this t-shirt. So a couple of videos ago, I showed you I made a cool t-shirt design with the melting cones, and several of you reached out and asked about how to get one. And so I've been looking into like print on demand companies that will print it and actually send it to you. And this was a test. Unfortunately, I ordered the wrong size, and this is a small, and that will never fit over these girlies. If anyone needs a small t-shirt, reach out. I'll be happy to send it to you. But anyway, hopefully these will be something that I can share online that you can order and get yourself one if you want. Then on this corner again, like as we're walking in to the left, this is my new wedging table. I haven't tested it out yet. I'm not quite sure how well it's going to work, but you know, I've got high hopes. I've got high hopes on this one. This is on a sit-stand desk, and that's why I'm a little bit uncertain about how it will hold up. I built a tabletop for it. It's 2 sheets of 3/4 inch plywood that I laminated together, and then I put a poplar edge around it. So it's pretty durable. So I can wedge clay on here. I've got a raw surface that I can wedge on. I've got a plaster surface that I can wedge on. And then I've just got a chunk of plaster that I can put super wet clay on to dry out if it needs to before I can wedge it up. So I've got these 3 kind of zones, if you will. And I put up a couple hooks here for my wire tools and stuff like that. I also mounted an L bracket to create a cutoff wire right here. So if I need to break up small pieces of clay from a larger block, I can use that as a nice cutoff wire. I'm hoping I have enough space here. I think I do, but you know, you and I will find out together. We will definitely test out this new wedging table together on an upcoming video, but we'll see how it goes. I'm pretty optimistic. Underneath here, I do have another plaster block for wedging on, just with a dark canvas. If I ever wanted to use a darker clay, I would use that one, but it's just gonna hang out under there. I created a little dolly to put clay on so that I can push it in and out. This is big enough for 2 boxes to sit side by side, and then depending on how high or low I adjust the wedging table to, I might be able to get 3 boxes, 2 or 3 boxes tall. So I can keep on-hand clay under here and just wheel it in and out as I need it. You can tell I only have 1 box of clay left right now, dangerously low. I've got a couple bags of like scrap clay that I can wedge up, but I'm gonna need to get to the ceramic supply store here pretty soon. Okay, so now moving to my absolute pride and joy is this very large island in the center. I debated on this for quite a while because it's just been a dream to have such a large surface to be able to spread out on and work on, but I was nervous about how much space it would take in the overall studio. I did lay this out in an application called SketchUp, and I tested and played with where it could go and where my kiln would be and if I'd have enough space around the kiln. I also wanted to have some really good comfy chairs, so I bought 2 of these. I think they're for like medical, I don't know, like nurses. I think that's how they were advertised. But they're super comfy and they roll really easy. And I have one on each side just so I don't have to roll it around depending on what I'm doing. I've kind of created a couple different zones on this island, all related to glazing and surface decoration and stuff like that. On this side is all the tools that you might expect when doing a glazing day. This top is just actually kind of a junk drawer, so I keep, pencils and pens and markers and things like that in here. But the second drawer has all of the small little containers of glaze that I have for decorative stuff that I've made over the years in here. I've got a bunch of different tools for, actually this is also for if I'm like attaching handles or doing anything with leather hard clay, that's kind of in here as well. But mostly stuff for glazing. And then this bottom drawer has the paper that I use for doing decals, all the brushes, saran wrap, which comes in handy now and again, and stuff like that. Then this side, top drawer, is all of my underglazes and tools that I use for testing viscosity, gums, things like that, Darvan, sodium silicate, things that you might use to flocculate or deflocculate a glaze if you need to, wax resist and stuff like that for putting on the bottom of the pots and things like that. Then under here in the big cabinet is all of my glazes, almost all of my glazes. There are 2 glazes that I keep in larger buckets that are on wheels that are tucked under behind the chair. But all of my like 1-gallon batches of glazes or quart batches of glazes and things like that are tucked under here. I've got my sieves, the stirring brushes and things like that. I was really grateful that everything fit into this cabinet. And I actually have more room, so I have a couple empty containers. So if I do formulate a new glaze this year, which is on my list of goals, I have got room for new glazes too. Coming to the other side of the island, maybe even more exciting for me, is all of my tools for testing glazes and formulating new glazes, which I get really excited about and passionate about. So this top drawer has my scale. I have a really high precision scale that I use for that. A little test sieve that I use as well for batching glazes, some little pieces of paper. I will show you how I do some glaze testing in an upcoming video. So you'll see what some of those tools are used for down the road. Then in here, I've got, this is mainly dedicated to kind of additives, so colorants and opacifiers. I reorganized all of my materials in here into these very cool containers to make it a lot easier to see and a lot cleaner, just more organized. So I've got all of my stains, oxides, that type of thing in here. And then I use a lot of these little metal spoons for measuring things out, underglaze pencils and stuff like that. And then this bottom drawer, now while all of my bulk materials are back here, I generally have a smaller container of each one because when I'm testing glazes, I don't need 20 pounds of it at one time. I just need, maybe a grams or so. So I use these quart-sized deli containers so that I can have all of the materials I need out for a glaze test accessible, and I can batch them out easily and keep them tucked away. And then when these run low, I just go into my bulk storage and fill it back up. So I've got all of the main materials for glazes in that drawer. Coming around to this side, I've got your safety stuff. So I've got the masks that I use when I am working with those materials, safety glasses, rubber gloves, which come in handy, all in this top drawer. Below that, I have all the test tiles that I have available to me right now. So when these run low, I will make more. I'll be sure to show a video of how I do that. But these are all the tiles that I use just to test glazes on. I've got a multimeter to test my kiln when I need to. Just a couple other, random tools that I use occasionally in here. Oh, this is the tile that I picked out for behind the kiln. It's this really pretty green tile. I think it's gonna look really good on this peach wall. I'm still not sure how I'm gonna stack it, but that's gonna be happening. I'm pretty excited about it. And then this bottom drawer Really not a lot in here. Some empty containers for little glaze test batches. I use a lot of these deli containers for actually mixing tests in, and not a lot in that drawer, which is kind of nice to have extra space. And then I got a second chair on this side, which also rolls in and out. I mentioned under here I've got the only glazes I keep in actually large 5-gallon buckets like this are my white and clear, because I use a lot of those, so it makes sense to have a large batch of them. And I just put these on those plant dollies so that I can, gosh, I think that's about it. Yeah, I don't know, friends. That's the whole space. I mean, we've kind of gone around and looked at all of it. I do have the TV set up because it's kind of nice watching things when you're working or just having kind of some noise in the background. I definitely enjoy that. I do have a few things still on the to-do list. So along with tiling behind the kiln, I'm going to tile behind like the backsplash behind the sink. And so I'll probably adjust my jungle wall here a little bit to accommodate that. Okay, well, I hope that this gives you maybe some studio inspiration. I'm so excited to get to share this space with you, and I'm so excited to make more content and create more videos and hopefully more helpful tips and tricks in the future. It means the world to me that you would spend your time and hang out with me today. So thank you so very much. I really appreciate each and every one of you. I hope you've all had a wonderful start to the new year, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Thanks, guys.